Here's the question. How do you make the impossible possible? Simple. Remove the I am, the ego. Now, how do you step into that newfound possibility? With a series of small intentional steps. Never forget, the greatest among us started from humble beginnings. But to truly unlock your potential, realize you're here for something greater. If you're yearning for more than just a good life, let's take that small step together to reach greatness. Welcome to the Greatness from Small Beginnings podcast, where we're talking to those who have gone from mediocrity to motivated, overlooked to overachieving, forgettable to unforgettable. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, everybody. I'm going to queue up a video here in a few minutes I think it's an Instagram reel is what it is. A fairly long one, a couple of minutes, that lays some stuff out that we need to think about, that I need to think about. It's one of the things that's held me back. Talk about greatness from small beginnings and what we can do to make ourselves better and to engage deeper in life, the rest of life. I think it's important. I think it's an important message. And then he gives a tactical thing. And that tactical thing is helpful. It's helpful. It's something that we can say, something that we can take responsibility for doing and break the cycle in our own heads. So I'll get going on it. All right, let's try this.
What I found was this, is that the existence of just one negative emotion that you will not let go of for whatever reason, and the reason is always an ego reason, the reason it always has to do with your own ego, will cause you to stay in the same place and spin your wheels and go in circles for the rest of your life. But you all know people who are talented, who have opportunities, good educations, and so on and so forth, and their life just goes around in circles. They just seem to be spinning. They've got everything going for them, and they just continually have problems. Why is it? Almost invariably, and this is what all psychoanalysis says, all psychotherapy, is they've got one negative emotion locked on, and the negative emotion they have locked on is blame. There is somebody that they are still blaming for something. There's somebody that they are not going to let off the hook because that son of a gun did something to them. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about, because we're all in the same boat. We're all human beings. The reason this makes sense to you and I is because we do have a tendency to fall in love with our suffering. We do have a tendency to gunny sack and to think that part of our humanity is all these negative emotions. We do have a tendency to see that other people are responsible. Other people have hurt us. They did cost us money. They did hurt us in a relationship. But the key to peak performance, the key to happiness, the key to success is to use the law of substitution and knock those negative emotions out of the box. By the very first time you think of anything that causes you any stress, you say, I am responsible. Wait a minute, I am responsible. I am responsible. I am responsible. I like myself and I am responsible. I like myself and I am responsible. And nothing outside of me is going to disrupt my peace of mind. I am in charge of my emotional life. I am responsible. You are responsible.
So it's an identity conversation with me. Who am I on the inside and who am I blaming? Right? So some of the things I picked up from that was someone has potential. I have potential for greatness, potential for whatever the Lord has for me next. And sometimes I miss it, right? I just miss it. And then he talked about the one negative emotion. And I thought he was going to say, you get to choose your emotion and the one negative emotion. But I think he's right that blame is the one that takes us down the most because it pushes towards other people. It pushes our responsibility, which I'll get to also, towards someone else. And I have that many times in my life. And I'm kind of an optimistic person that has turned, I wouldn't say pessimistic, realist is what I've called myself. partly because I've been in business for 42 years and crap happens. It happens every day. It happens all the time. And so I get frustrated by that I'm sure is going to happen. And often it does. And so the word manifestation is a word these days. And I wonder if sometimes I just caused it to happen a little bit just by being so negative. Um, Blame this, blame that, blame the equipment, blame the people, blame the supplier, blame whatever, blame my dad for my ability to procrastinate. He was really good at it. Or blame my mom because, oh, she had a job her whole life. Those things are ridiculous. I moved out of the house, got married after, and it's my responsibility to deal with my own things, my blame, and turn it around and say, like he said in the video, I'm responsible. I like myself. I don't have regrets that bring me down. I do have some regrets that have taught me great lessons as I look in the rear view mirror, like I've said on here before. But I really think that the key to quality filled life, the key to happiness is not blaming others for my issues, but taking on those issues as my own and live in that it's mine to deal with. So he said in the video, I like myself and I am responsible. And I believe that I can have a quality filled life, that be consistent and faithful in my thought life and in my actions can put me in a position of trust of myself and others, which then psychologically puts you in a position to be respected, right? It comes after trust, and eventually it's respect, and then eventually it's love, and then there's intimacy, and then at the end of all of that becomes a quality filled life. And it is a process. In each area of our life, we have to work that process to get to that quality filled life. And I am in a long process of getting there. But I realized as I listened to this and I was kind of preparing, I'm going to say to the people this week, those few listeners that might come on, what am I going to say to them? And it's like, that's important. This is an important subject. And again, I think that it could be a list of other emotions, and we actually could blame others. People have hurt us. People have cost us money or time or effort. They have, and people have betrayed us. People have treated us poorly for long periods of time. I have some of that in my life. Right now, it's like, seriously, what is going on with you? And then I have people call in to get advice, and I appreciate that. I've got some experience, and I'm glad to give it. But then they say the things they've done, and I said, that's kind of on you. You did a lot of this, and you didn't keep your house in order, so to speak. And these business people, you got to invoice regularly. You got to invoice clearly. You've got to be clear in your contracts what you're going to do. And if you do it, you get paid. If you don't, then they'll worry about paying you. And it's interesting that it does, as I've been thinking about this, it does come back to me taking responsibility. And the reason I might not want to is because I'm blaming the circumstance on someone else or something else, or I'm blaming my emotion on the circumstances. And that's not healthy. That's not what I should be doing. I appreciate what he said in the video about the tool, the law of substitution. And I'm not good at that, but I will say that you can say that he said that I like myself, which sometimes I don't feel like I like myself. And it's not about feeling. It's about putting something else in your mind and in your world, is what he's getting at. But I am responsible no matter. But part of my morning routine and part of my evening routine is to look at scripture. I do usually do a verse of the day at night. Almost always I do the verse of the day on a Bible app. Just look at it real quick. And I like that. And my morning routine has to do with basically putting together some devotionals, but I read other devotionals to kind of help me put those things together. I recently did a series on the 21 laws of leadership. From the Bible by John Maxwell. He's got the 21 Laws of Leadership as a book, and then he's got the 21 Laws from the Bible, and he uses almost all scripture to build the case in case studies, basically from scripture. And it's really good from the Bible. And there's a lot of good lessons in the Bible from the people that are there doing things and trying to be righteous and do the right thing by God. And those are good examples to us. So replacement, what did he call it? The law of substitution. So there's the practical takeaway from today. Replace the thing that is God in your head, the blame that's in your head, no matter who it is and what it is, replace that with something positive that has something to do with taking responsibility. So when I look at scripture and I see, for instance, there was a sermon that happened recently at my church it was about the temptation of Christ. And I noticed that the devil, when he's tempting Christ, who had been fasting for 40 days, he tempted him he didn't tempt bread. He tempted him with an identity issue. He said, if you are the God you say you are, then make those stones into bread. And then he took him to the Temple Mount. If you are the God you say you are, you can jump off of here and you won't get hurt. So he pushed into the identity of who he was, tempted Jesus himself with identity. And then the last one was, if you bow down to me now, well, he took him to a high mountain. Here's all the land. This is the devil speaking. He says, if you bow down to me now, you can have everything you see, which is the whole world. It was a metaphor for the entire world. Jesus knew he was there to save the world and to be the King of Kings, to be the king of the world. But the enemy, the devil, was giving him a 3-year head start. If you bow to me, I'll give it to you now. Don't 3 years from now. The devil didn't know what the plan was. Jesus did. Jesus knew that 3 years from now, something was going to happen that created, and I don't know if he knew he was going to the cross. I have no idea. I do know that he would be a lamb slaughtered, and that's in scripture, and he knew that, but I don't know. I have no idea. It's an interesting question. I'll ask him when I get to heaven. But he did know he had come and be roughly 3 years. I believe he knew that. But he attacked his identity. So what is the enemy to us to attack in us, to take our greatness away, to keep us in the small places in our life, to keep us set on our heels, which in a athletic metaphor means that you're no good to anybody. Any athlete on their heels is no good. They might as well not even be on the field because someone could go right around them, or they're completely out of balance. And balance is important for an athlete. The enemy wants us on our heels, but we need to refuse that. There's the answer. Replace it with things that matter, that make us think deeper about ourselves, about our identity, about the blame, about the who, and then replace it with things that are bigger, better, more wonderful, and that is us taking responsibility for our own issues, our sin, our identity, our capturing the identity. So the way Jesus responded is he quoted scripture about those things to basically reset the timing and the clock about his own identity. And I thought that was a great way to do it. And I should be more knowledgeable of scripture, the scriptural principles, so that I can basically say the same thing to the tempter when he comes to me. And he often does. That being said, we're going to end it for now. I'm going to get back into the one phrase that I love to say to all of you by Zig Ziglar. Love the guy. You were designed for accomplishment, engineered for success, and endowed with the seeds of greatness. I believe that. I believe I was. I still falter. I was sitting there this morning thinking, oh, I may be coming up on a transition in my life. What does that look like? And I got nervous, like, I don't know what that looks like. I probably don't have to work so hard. And then I went, wait, I like working. Not always at the job I'm doing now, but I like working. I like being productive. And then I thought, oh man, I want to do this. I always wanted to do this thing, but it made me nervous. Should I? Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe it's too uncomfortable. And I thought, wait a minute, stop that. I need to do the thing. Even if I'm not perfect at it, I need to do the thing. So that's exciting. So I am also inside of me endowed with the seeds of greatness, and they have to grow. They have to be watered. They have to be nurtured, and the weeds around them need to be pulled out regularly. The weeds of blame need to be pulled out, but the seeds of greatness are there. You were designed for accomplishment, engineered for success, and endowed with the seeds of greatness. Now, folks, go be great.